A poor waitress in her 20s worked tirelessly, doing double shifts at a rundown diner. She had very little money and was barely scraping by. But every day after work, she would notice the same beggar sitting outside the diner. He was crippled and alone, seemingly forgotten by the world. The woman felt a pang of sympathy for the man, but she also knew what it was like to go hungry. So without a second thought, she started bringing him some of her leftover meals from work. Sometimes it was a bowl of soup or a piece of bread, but she always made sure that he had something to eat. One day, a coworker noticed her giving the beggar food and she couldn't help but roll her eyes. "Seriously, why do you bother? He's not going to do anything with it," she said dismissively, but the woman just smiled and continued on her way. The customers were no different. They would often laugh and point when they saw her giving food to the beggar. "Hey, if he can't even walk, why waste it on him?" "Right," they'd say. But the woman didn't care what others thought. She had seen enough poverty and hunger in her life to know that no one should have to go without food. For the woman, compassion was more than just an act of kindness. It was a quiet rebellion against a world that often seemed indifferent to the suffering of others. She believed that everyone deserved a helping hand, regardless of their circumstances. This went on for months, until one day everything changed. It was a rainy evening when a black luxury car pulled up outside the diner. The woman was about to clock out for the night. When she saw a man step out of the car, she couldn't believe her eyes. It was the beggar from before, but he wasn't begging anymore. In fact, he looked completely different. He was well-dressed, and he walked with a cane, not a wheel. The woman couldn't understand what was happening. Where had the beggar gone? Why had he stopped showing up? And who was this mysterious man in his place? As if sensing her confusion, the man approached her table and introduced himself. "Hello," he said with a warm smile. "You probably don't recognize me." "I'm not the person I was before." The woman stared back at him, trying to piece together who he was. "I know you. You're the beggar who used to sit outside," she said slowly. He chuckled. "That's right. But I'm not a beggar anymore. And I'm certainly not crippled." He leaned closer and whispered, "I'm a billionaire." The woman couldn't believe her ears. She had been feeding a billionaire all this time, and he had never revealed his true identity. "I've been watching you," he continued, "and I was testing you. You're the only one who gave me food without expecting anything in return. Everyone else pitied me or made fun of me, but you treated me with respect. That's why I'm here today." The billionaire reached into his pocket and pulled out a card along with a key. "Here's my business card," he said, "and this is the key to a small apartment I have. You can start working there tomorrow morning." He paused, gauging her reaction. "Will you come work for me?" The woman was stunned. She had never been offered such a generous opportunity. She could finally escape the drudgery of her dead-end job and the crushing weight of her poverty. But was it too good to be true? Could she really trust this mysterious billionaire? Before she could respond, he added, "I want you to know that I'm serious about this. I need someone trustworthy and compassionate, and you have shown those qualities. I'm giving you a chance to change your life, so please, don't waste it." With that, the billionaire stood up, his face grave. He dropped the card and the key on the table before turning to leave. "Think about it," he said softly, "and let me know your decision tomorrow." As he walked away, the woman looked down at the card in her hands, her mind racing. Could she really trust this stranger? What would it be like to work for a billionaire? Most importantly, was this really an act of kindness, or was there something more? The next day, the woman returned to the diner to clock in for her shift. But as she walked through the door, she was met with an unexpected sight. All of her co-workers were staring at her, their faces a mixture of shock and envy. "Where were you last night?" one of them asked, her voice filled with disbelief. "What did that rich guy say to you?" "Tell us!" Another chimed in. "Yeah, spill the beans." The woman hesitated, unsure how to respond. She had been struggling with her decision all night, weighing the risks and rewards of accepting the billionaire's offer. But before she could answer, the diner's owner approached her. "You need to get to work," he snapped. "We're busy." As the woman went about her tasks, she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Her co-workers were still staring at her, whispering and pointing. It was clear that they had heard about the billionaire and were hoping for a piece of the action. But the woman knew that she couldn't share what had happened. It was her decision alone to make. But as the hours passed, She realized that she couldn't keep it a secret any longer. Finally, she called her coworkers over and shared the truth. At first, their faces were filled with disappointment, then with shame. They had judged her, ridiculed her for helping the beggar, and now they understood that they had been wrong. From that day forward, the woman never looked back. She left the diner job behind and started working for the Billionaire, learning new skills and meeting interesting people. She had taken a chance on a stranger and it had paid off. As the years passed, the woman became a successful businesswoman herself, all because she had shown compassion to a beggar in need. The universe had a way of rewarding kindness, even when it wasn't expected.